implement AAC and really find success in using AAC and all of the communication opportunities that we have. So I have my colleague, Ashlyn Hudson, with me here today. She is also a member of the learning team, and she comes from OT land. So she will be moderating our session today, and we are happy to answer any questions that you might have. So without further ado, we will go ahead and get started. Okay, so I am a full-time employee of Tobii Dynavox. As I said, I don't have any non-financial disclosures to give to you this evening. And let's go ahead and get ready to learn. The communication tools that we will need today, we will talk about how we can be really flexible in our communication and specifically in TD Snap. So we will talk about the communication tools needed to provide a robust communication system. We'll talk about the strategies for implementing the use of these communication tools. And then lastly, I'll review some resources that we can use to really support the success for our communicators. And so before we jump into our tools and our communication, let's consider who we are supporting for our session today. Who are our communicators that we're currently working with? You might consider an AAC communicator that you are working with currently or that you know. Otherwise, we have a couple examples that I'll be using as we go through our session today. Our first communicator here is Benjamin. Benjamin is autistic and has just started preschool. He communicates in a variety of ways, but he does have lots of breakdowns since his communication isn't always recognized by new people and new friends. Benjamin's parents and his speech-language pathologist want to help Benjamin clearly express himself. They also want to support his language development and encourage positive behaviors. So we'll see how TD Snap can support Ben. Second, we have Carly. Carly is a 7th grader with cerebral palsy. She has difficulty with movement and uses a power chair to get around. Carly can speak using single words. She enjoys using technology and uses eye gaze to access her computer. So we'll see how she can use TD Snap to communicate flexibly in situations where her single words aren't enough. Let's go ahead and jump into communication supports that we can use to develop language and success with our communicators. Some of you might already be familiar with TD Snap. TD Snap is a communication system, and TD Snap Core First is the platform utilizing the Core First language system. It's a robust communication system with a variety of communication tools that can really support our communicators. How does TD Snap support these communicators? TD Snap was first developed for symbol-based communicators in mind, but it's also flexible enough to meet a wide variety of needs, supporting communicators of a wide variety of ages and diagnoses who might be at different levels of language and literacy learning, like Benjamin and Carly. The tools that we'll talk about can both help our communicators communicate successfully in a variety of situations. It can also support language development for Benjamin and help Carly continue on her path of being a proficient reader and speller, so she can always say what she wants and when she wants. As we consider the language system of Core First and the research behind the importance of efficient communication, we look to the communication tools in TD Snap that allow our communicators to utilize tools to support flexibility and efficiency in communication. Using research, clinical expertise, and opinions and feedback from caregivers and AAC communicators to inform the design and development of TD Snap, we identified a set of flexible communication tools. Flexible means being able to generate your own unique sentences, but also having access to phrase-based or formulaic messages so you can say what you want quickly in situations where conversations happen on the fly. TD Snap also has the ability to generate novel sentences using core words, which is 80% of the words that make up our daily communication. Also, word lists. Word lists are fringe vocabulary that allow us to talk about unique things that are important to us and really specific topics and items. Keyboards, which allow us to be truly generative and not limited to pre-programmed vocabulary that requires navigation to access. And we also have phrase-based communication to quickly convey an idea in a fast-paced conversation. Okay, so core words, word lists, and keyboards kind of help us to be a little bit more specific and not provide some support for those novel messages. And then we also have support for phrase-based or for some of those formulaic opportunities that might be a little bit more scripted. And I'll talk about what those look like here in a minute too. But the tools that we can use to really support more of this phrase-based communication are topics, which is context-specific vocabulary, which allows us to socially engage with minimal effort, and quickfires, which are short phrases and words that apply to most conversations, and they allow us to engage in social turn-taking, making comments, asking questions, regardless of the context or activity. Okay, so we'll talk a lot about each of these tools today and how we can support communication. And when you're in Snap Core First, you can use each of these tools to be really flexible and efficient in your communication.
Karen, it's Franklin here. I'm just going to jump in for 1 second. Sorry. Would you be able to move your Zoom control panel down to the bottom of your screen? It's covering part of your slides.
Yes, there you go. Is that better?
Not really.
Is that one?
There you go.
Can you see it at all now?
Can still see it, but it's tucked away at the bottom. Better, thank you. Sorry for the interruption.
No, I appreciate you. Did it go away completely now?
Now it has, yes.
Okay, hey, thank you. Okay, so like I said, we're going to go ahead and jump in a little bit more into some of those novel messages and some of those phrase-based messages. So let's consider a variety of opportunities of when we would want to share a novel message. So when we're working on a project with a team and we're discussing new ideas, much of we say might be novel. So things that we've never thought about before or ideas that we haven't fully thought out, but we're building together with our team, working to use the right words to get our ideas across. Some of our communicators might have ideas that they have that don't pertain to the context or the activity that we're in. And so some of those can be really novel ideas that are just coming to the forefront of their mind. And then there's other opportunities, right, that allow us the opportunity to share information that come from more phrase-based or scripted conversation. Thinking about some of the vocabulary and communication that we have on a more frequent basis. So thinking about, for example, when I order food from a restaurant that I go to frequently, okay? Or when I'm ordering coffee, I tend to usually stick to my favorite order and I order the same thing time over time. And my order tends to then become fairly scripted or formulaic, or as we're referring to in this session and kind of an AAC world, sometimes we talk about phrase-based. Okay. So we need to provide a robust communication system that really allows our communicators the flexibility to generate truly novel ideas, building thoughts word by word, letter by letter. And the tools to support that would obviously be keyboards, right? We recognize that that can make us truly generative in our communication. And we can also talk about how core vocabulary in combining fringe vocabulary or word lists to allow our communication to be novel and specific. These tools are great for supporting specific content. However, when I'm combining all of these buttons, it can sometimes take time to navigate and combine those individual words and letters. So that there are times when we need something a little bit more efficient and in the moment. And that's when that formulaic or phrase-based tool can really provide that efficiency. So this is when we want to use more of that phrase-based communication to quickly engage a communicator or communication partner. And the tools we can use to support that are topics and quick fires. They're great opportunities to use these tools to gain attention or comment for flexibility and quick engagement. So I'm going to go ahead and take a little bit of a deeper dive into each of these communication tools, and then I will jump into the software and show you where we can find these and putting them to work. So core vocabulary can be used in a variety of different contexts. We know that it's 80% of the language that we use each day. It can be used in isolation for an early communicator like Ben. So for example, the word go could be used or modeled to teach Ben how to request to play more music. He might also use the word go and a look up to indicate he wants the Lego tower to be taller. He could also use go to indicate he wants a turn in a board game. Or maybe he points to go and looks to the bathroom, and so on. So additionally, core words can really be combined also to create more complex utterances if I combine some of those core vocabulary words together. Again, I'll show you what that looks like on our demo later too. But for Benjamin, not only can I talk about that flexibility of core vocabulary, but I can also develop that language with combining some of those core vocabulary words together. So maybe I put it in there, I go, right? Or a request, want go, you go, or any questions, where go. So we're growing in lots of different ways and showing Benjamin that flexibility also in the communication functions that are available. So if I give another example, Benjamin is in preschool, but how might an older student use the word go in a variety of contexts, and what might be a little bit more appropriate to them? So for maybe a little bit older adolescent student, maybe at the end of the day, they use the word go for I want to go. Maybe cheering at a sporting event or a community event, go, go. A social setting, I gotta go. Some classroom work, as in some concepts that might go together. In arguing, go away. And as our communicators start developing language, it's really important for us to understand how we can use the flexibility of these tools to really advocate for themselves as well. So the next tool we have here is word lists. So fringe vocabulary, meaning vocabulary that is more specific to a topic, environment, or individual, in combination with core words is really necessary sometimes when communicating, right? Because we get that flexibility of that core word, and then we really get that specificity when we get that, that word, that specific fringe word. Therefore, word lists, which is a tool I'll show, provides lists of fringe vocabulary organized by category. Word list categories and word list vocabulary are organized by frequency of use based on some data collection. And then you'll also notice that related lists for a specific category are located on the first row of each main word list page, again, allowing for quick and easy access to vocabulary. Because fringe vocabulary is unique to each individual, word lists provide that flexibility to be you. We want to talk about the things that we want to talk about, the things that interest us, the things that are personal to us. So imagine how important this is for both Benjamin and Carly. Using fringe vocabulary, they can both express their unique interests and what motivates them. Carly needs that unique word to be able to ask to go to Misha's Cupcakes and order her favorite Nutella cupcake. And Benjamin can ask for any of his favorite TV shows from Sesame Street to Spider-Man videos. And while word lists provide specificity to communication, the flexibility to access word lists allows communicators to quickly identify immediate communication needs. Okay, so we covered those core vocabulary words, we covered word lists, and now let's talk about keyboards. TD Snap has a variety of keyboards available that can be used with a variety of ability levels to target letter identification, creative spelling, or typing specific words. And we can talk about how it's important for our communicators to type those specific words that are unique to the communicator or that environment that they're in. And both Benjamin and Carly should be encouraged to use this tool to target spelling. Keyboards also include predictive text buttons for quicker access to vocabulary if it's needed. So thinking about reducing some of those keystrokes, and truly that example of spelling. Once I get 3 of those letters, then that predictive spelling can kind of come up and also support our communicators as well. Keyboard layouts include an alphabet layout, AEIOU layouts, frequency layouts, grid matching for communicators using key guards, QWERTY, and many more to meet any needs for our communicators. Again, the ability to have quick access to a keyboard allows a communicator to increase specificity, as well as the communication partner has that quick ability to model the use of a keyboard. This flexible access also allows the communicator for an opportunity to explore letters in a way that they might not have been as successful if they didn't have regular access to a keyboard. So also thinking about keyboards as that accessible pencil if we need a different access method. All right, now we'll jump into topics. The core first page set offers a variety of pre-made topics, including topics appropriate for a variety of age ranges. There's sure to be a topic that is motivated or of interest to your communicator. And within our topics, we have, again, short phrases and sentences, but these are all specific to that specific topic or activity. The tool of topics allows a communicator or partner to quickly navigate to a topic to increase engagement or navigate to a different topic. Topics provide flexibility because there's a variety of communication functions available within each topic. So remembering that Benjamin likes music, we can use this topic of music, and he has a lot here that he could say about music. So if you're anything like me, in my earlier SLP years, I would receive a speech device and I would wipe it clean, or I wouldn't find anything that's already in the software, and I would just create new topics for my communicators. And it's really important to make sure that that page or topic is not already in the communication system, because then I don't have to create as much work for myself. The great part about this topic is, even as Benjamin is learning the meaning behind the language that's there, no matter what button he would select, there's no wrong thing that he can say, because we're in an activity of music, right? Without a lot of effort, he can really begin to learn the power of communication in interaction with some topic appropriate phrases. So the way that topics are organized include questions outlined in blue, general statements and requests in orange, positive comments in green, negative comments in red, and then you see those blank buttons down there outlined in purple. And those are to kind of create your own novel messages. For Benjamin here, I might put some favorite songs that he likes, or a favorite band, or a favorite type of music. So thinking about how we can really keep Ben engaged with this topic of music, right? And if he appears disengaged, right? Maybe we say don't like, and we model that don't like, and we find a different topic, and we can also show how topics are really flexible in that way too. All right, and the final tool that we'll review is quickfires. Quickfires are words or short phrases that are meant to act as conversation starters, fillers, and turn-taking messages to be used really no matter the context of the conversation. So they're kind of anytime, anywhere words and short phrases. They're great for social scenarios to easily engage at the touch of a button without being limited to any one communication function. So I think that there's lots of opportunities that we can identify of maybe an emergent communicator trying to gain attention with a behavior, right? And if we kind of flip that behavior and maybe model an attention grabber, like, hey, right? Thinking of a way that we can kind of substitute that and also be really flexible in showing that power of communication rather than that behavior. So like topics, quickfires provide flexible communication by offering many communication functions to really fit that conversation. So here you can see an example of that quickfires page. So it provides a way to gain attention. Okay, so if I wanted to say, look, or come here, I can also ask questions. I can make comments. I can request with some of those personal needs. And so going back to what we talked about at the very beginning of our session today, quickfires are those phrase-based or those kind of scripted phrases that we say regularly, thinking about how do I let my communication partner know I'm engaged with them in the conversation. I make comments, right? Even just a simple, yes, yeah, to keep that conversation going, letting them know that I am participating. When using quickfires, there's really no right or wrong response. These are words and phrases that can be used to build an ongoing and engaging conversation with peers. For example, Carly loves to be included, and since quickfires allow her to participate in conversation quickly, using this tool will increase her motivation to use her AAC system. She particularly likes the use of no way when listening to her friends' juicy stories. Okay, so I'll go ahead and just jump into the software quickly and give you a little demo of each of the tools that we talked about. So I will head out of my PowerPoint and into my software. If you aren't familiar with TD Snap, this is the TD Snap Core First page set, and that's what I'll be demoing on this evening. So the first tool that we talked about was core words, and I like to think of all of these tools kind of like the MVP and the way that we can make the most of TD Snap and really providing that flexibility to our communicators is through the use of this toolbar. The use of this toolbar really allows an opportunity for myself as the communication partner to quickly model a variety of tools for my communicator. And it's also easy for my communicator to not get stuck, right? Because I can quickly navigate out of something if I feel like I'm stuck. So here's quick fires, and if I click on core words, right? Again, core words is 80% of the words that I see and read and hear all day, every day. And I can talk about this word go. And as we talked about with Benjamin earlier, there's lots of different ways that I could use this word go. I can also combine various core words to make longer sentences and increase that context of meaning. I can also provide a variety of communication functions in requesting or asking questions, giving directives, and protesting. The next tool that we talked about were word lists. And so word lists, while it is a really flexible tool, it is not found on our toolbar. It's the only one that you won't find there. It's going to be right up here in this upper right-hand corner. And as I said, each of our word lists, the way that they're organized are based on frequency of use through data collection. If you're interested in learning more about the way that they're organized, there is a handout on the Learning Hub, so feel free to check that out if you're a Y person. But let's use the example of feelings here. So let's talk about Carly. Maybe she was talking about that core word of the word go, and her friends get this feeling that she really wants to go. And so they're like, why do you want to go? So she goes to feelings and she's like, I'm really bored. Let's get out of here, right? Or I'm tired. So really providing those additional opportunities to add that specificity and keeping those there provides that flexibility. I also said that some of these, some of these quick fires also have different categories. So if I go back to, if I go back to all word lists and I go to food and drink, I can find those in other places too. Oh man. So if I go to food and, sorry, I kind of got moved around there. But if I go to food and drink, you can see that I have really related categories, and you can definitely move these words around if that makes more sense for your communicator. Okay, so we talked about core words, those word lists. Okay, then I'm going to bounce down to here to the keyboard to keep everything kind of in those same buckets of novel messages. And here you can see a split keyboard, and we do, like I said, have a variety of keyboards that are offered. And it just kind of depends on the communicator that you're using and their access method. So you can change those keyboard settings or the keyboard page that you're using in the settings. Then the phrase-based communication tools of quick fires and topics. So when I come back here to quick fires are those anytime, anywhere words and phrases that I need to use to keep my communication going. And so I can use, I used the example of hey earlier, right? So trying to model switching out that negative behavior, maybe of spitting or that behavior. Can I model that word hey, right? To gain attention rather than that behavior. We would want to change and customize some of these quick fires to make that really flexible and for Carly to be able to introduce herself, right? If she wants to find a way to gain that quick attention, she could do that as well. And then when I go down here to topics, you see all of these various topics that are included. You can definitely hide any topics that might not be appropriate to your communicator. Okay, or maybe they might be distracting to a communicator if there's too many. I'm going to go ahead and take us down to this topic of music, since we already talked about it with Benjamin earlier. And once I select a topic, you can see that I have all this phrase-based communication that can keep Ben really engaged in this activity of music. And I love providing this opportunity for a communicator because it's kind of this errorless learning opportunity where he doesn't feel like he's tested, right? Because he's just in this fun activity that he enjoys of music, and he gets to, any button that he pushes is right? I just have to respond contingently based on the button that he selects, okay? And then if he starts to act like he doesn't like it, I model don't like, and we move on to a different topic. Again, as a reminder, you can see the ways that these phrases are organized with questions at the top, those general statements and requests in orange, those positive comments, and then those negative comments. So thinking about ways that we can engage a communicator and really increasing that acceptance of the communication system. Okay, we'll go ahead and jump back in. So we talked about core words, word lists, and keyboards, how we can support that novel communication and that novel language, as well as being flexible with topics and quick fires to quickly navigate and efficiently navigate to a different communication tool. Okay, now that I've provided with some different opportunities to use these tools, right? We've talked about some of these ideas with Ben and Carly. I want you to also think about some examples of where you might use this communication and these tools in your own practice, right? In working as a communicator, working with a communicator. What are some opportunities to generate novel ideas and sentences? When do I use more phrase-based or formulaic communication? Okay. And really recognizing that both of them happen in spoken communication too. Let's talk about how we can implement those tools, how we can use those every day and create this successful experience for our communicators. And we know we can create this successful experience. And we're going to talk about 3 ways today. And one is modeling. The next is creating a positive communication environment. And then last, how can we recognize success for our communicators? Okay, the first thing that we're going to talk about is what is modeling, and this might be a review for many of you. We know that modeling can be many things, and it can be called many things. And modeling is using your communication system while you interact and talk with an AAC communicator. So we've heard modeling called showing or aided language stimulation. But really, modeling is showing our communicator how to use the language system that they're implementing. And it's an often misstep, and we need to show our communicators how to use that language system. We need to show our communicators how they can use each communication tool and be successful, thus, again, leading to that acceptance of AAC. AAC communicators need to see and hear other people speaking in their own modality. Similarly to when we learn to play a musical instrument, right? We need to see another individual play that instrument and how things work together. Or if I'm learning a new language, it's helpful for me to see someone else speaking that language to understand maybe some emphasis or dialect. And it's so important for our communicators to really recognize how to use that system. I can't just give them that device and expect them to know how to use it, right? So it's also important for us to model the use of each of those language and communication tools so that they understand that importance. So here are some quick little modeling tips to get us started. So when we model, we want to touch and speak, selecting a button while I am speaking the words that I'm saying. So this supports that verbal communication. It also slows me down as a communication partner and allows a communicator to hear that verbal example as well. I want to use keywords and I don't want to model every single word I say, but I do want to target particular words to support that growth for my communicator. I can also model 1 to 2 words above that current level to really assume that competence of my communicator and support that development. I want to remove demands. We aren't asking our communicator to imitate what we just did on the device. We're simply showing them how to use it. So I'm not testing them. I'm not testing their knowledge of the device. Again, my only job in modeling is showing our communicators the way to communicate in the way that we are expecting them. I want to make mistakes. I want to allow my communicators the opportunity to know that even if I make a mistake, I can navigate through the situation and fix it. If I make a mistake when modeling, it's fine, right? The opportunity to model will be there again in a couple seconds. And then lastly, I want to think out loud. I want my communicator to hear my thought process as I'm navigating through that device. And I really want them to understand my navigation, even my mistakes, right? To hear why I'm navigating where I am in the system. And all of this will support our communicators when they're on their own and attempting to navigate independently as well. When when modeling, it's really important to vocalize where I'm navigating in that system to show our communicators how flexible their communication can be, right? And how important it is to use a variety of tools. It really shows those communicators that if one tool isn't working, then maybe I can find another flexible tool to increase that success. So here is a quick little video of a family. Mom is really modeling the use of Philip's communication system here. She's not requiring any expectation of Philip, and she's just showing him how to use his device in a fun activity of baking.
You make it go? Go. Make it go. Yay! Good job, Philip. Do you know what we're going to make?
Make.
What are we going to make?
Make.
Do you know?
No.
You don't know?
No.
That's okay. I'll tell you. We're going to make cookies. Cookies. Do you love cookies? Mm-hmm. Russell, do you love cookies?
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's go over here because when we make our cookies, the first things, look, we're going to go to colors. Colors, because we're going to put in some brown sugar. Who wants to put in the brown sugar?
Me.
You do? Okay, Russell's going to put in the brown sugar. Very good. Philip, do you want to put in some sugar? Yes? Okay, let's look over here. There's one more sugar left. Let me show you. Here's the sugar that needs to go back. This is white.
White.
It's white sugar. And let's go to core. You can say, I want to put it in. Yes, good job. Okay, Philip, here. You can put it in. Yay, very good. All right. I think that it's time to use the mixer. This is going to be so cool. Are you ready to help?
Help.
Help. You're going to help with the mixer. Okay, so I'm going to hold it. And then you guys are going to make it go. Okay, I'm going to hold it here and you guys just hold down that button. Make it go. What do you think? Gotta make it go, go, go.
So mom does not leave any, she does not have any expectation of Philip, and they're having a really great time. She accepts any form of communication. He vocalizes. She doesn't ask him to use his talker, and it's a fun experience for everyone.
You make it.
Okay, so we talked about modeling and how we can really show our communicators how to use their communication system. And now let's talk about we need to create that positive environment for our communicators. We want to foster these positive attitudes and strategies to help AAC communicators feel safe and encouraged. We really want to assume that competency and let them know that we know that they can do it. In order to do this, we want to respond to all attempts at communication. Just as Philip's mom did, she didn't require him to say any words in another way. She accepted what he said, so we can respond to any vocalizations, any gestures, any use of an AAC system, and we don't want to create this requirement. We want to assume competence that all of our communicators have and want that ability to communicate, and also using vocabulary and language to show them that we expect that of them. We want to focus on the use of a device, right? And the use of language through modeling and using language or that AAC system. So not thinking about testing and avoiding those words of show me. We want to provide wait time, which for me, this is really hard. And for many of us, right, we're all helpers. So to provide extended wait time is really hard. But many of our communicators also need that additional auditory processing or that additional receptive language time to really understand what they're being shown or asked of. And then provide support when needed. We want to make sure that our communicators don't flounder. And if they're having a hard time navigating or finding what they need, that we want to provide that support and guidance. And then address those challenges. Thinking about if our communicators have those struggles, they're not going to want to jump back in. So maybe we comment something like, gosh, that was kind of tricky to navigate to that, wasn't it? Maybe I bet it'll be better next time, and maybe show that path a couple times if we need to. The important thing is to not try to get frustrated. We don't want to give up. We're all learning that communication system together. And then lastly, how can we recognize success, right? We want to recognize success as it applies to those natural interactions and kind of reframing about how we define success. And it's really hard in this world when we need to meet goals and collect data, right? But what are some other ways that we can attempt to write our goals and collect that information instead of those percentages? Is my communicator demonstrating increased attention? Maybe they were just kind of ignoring every interaction around, and now they have that increased attention. Maybe now they're starting to increase that imitation of something. Maybe they were, it doesn't even have to be on that AAC system. Maybe they're now imitating something in play. For that communicator who just kind of ignored everything or only requested, maybe now they want longer interactions, or maybe now they're starting to kind of ask a question or comment. Maybe they're really, they're enjoying themselves more, which I think this is a very obvious one, right? Maybe they're showing more enjoyment in those activities. And then obviously that increased use of AAC. And this can be, maybe they're using it more in a session or in the classroom, but maybe this means that they're using their AAC device more at home or in a variety of classes or a variety of settings if it's an older communicator. And then increased initiation, which this is probably one of my favorite signs of success for our communicators. This is my favorite aha moment when they go and they initiate, and I just think that that is my favorite. So thinking about how does this change the way that we might approach measuring progress, and considering the types of success and the way it might influence the way I approach goal writing or defining success for my communicators. Okay, so I'm just lastly going to quickly introduce 2 resources that we can use and you can access today for ongoing success with implementation and providing that flexibility. The 2 resources are this printable communication book, as well as Core First Learning books and lessons. Our low-tech communication book is a great way to introduce the tools that we discussed as soon as tomorrow. You can download it from our Learning Hub, and you can also show and model the access to those different tools. It's a free resource that we have unlimited copies, so we can give them to our teachers and parents and SLPs and peers and therapists, and really everyone can model anytime and anywhere. I loved using this communication book and even printing some of the pages from TD Snap Core First if I have some customizations. So if my communicator's in the swimming pool, or I don't feel like they're left alone without their system. And then I also have Core First Learning books and lesson plans that provide and target core vocabulary. And it really shows us how we can teach core vocabulary. Okay. So core vocabulary tends to kind of be these abstract words, you know, how do I symbolize the word it? How do I symbolize kind of the word go? You know, we think of that arrow, but how do we really symbolize that for a communicator to learn? And what Core First Learning does is it teaches our communicators how to use that flexible communication through the use of a book that you can download or print, and then modeling the use of that core vocabulary word within the software. So in my final slide, I'll show you how you can get to these resources on the Learning Hub. Here is another quick video of Philip and his brother and how his family has incorporated the Core First lesson plans and books.
All right, Philip, we're going to read a story about hats. Good morning, Philip. What do you want to be today?
Want.
Want.
Like.
Today, I want to be a construction worker.
He wants to be a construction worker.
Good morning, Philip. What do you want to be today?
Want.
Want.
Today, I want to be a cowboy. Good morning, Philip. What do you want to be today?
Want.
What does he want to be today?
Okay, so there you can see Philip's speech or his communication device is right there in teal in the middle. And then on their iPad, they have downloaded those Core First books. And so he's reading and they're modeling that core vocabulary word at the same time. So if your next steps to kind of support all of this knowledge and flexibility of these tools is to take a peek at our live events calendar. We have a lot of supports that go into TD Snap and TD Snap Core First. And then I'm going to go ahead and jump into the Learning Hub lastly here so I can show you where you can find those resources that I just talked about. So I get to the Learning Hub through learn.tobiidynavox.com. It's a free resource. If you're familiar with it, you know that you can navigate either with the use of this search tool, or I can find any of these categories. Because a lot of what we talked about today in our session is about TD Snap, I would suggest if you're new to the Learning Hub that I would spend some time just kind of exploring around there. But anywhere you go is going to be great. This implementation category is also a really nice one to go to. There's these personas here that kind of can support that additional learning. So I'm a caregiver, a professional at school, someone with aphasia, ALS or progressive disease. But here's TD Snap. And I also have the opportunity to earn some CEUs. So this TD Snap, the Core First page set, goes into a lot of the tools that I talked about in our session today, but it goes over a few additional tools. So that would also be a great opportunity. So I'm going to sneak down here to some documentation. I'm going to go to this TD Snap Core First resources. And all of these resources are great to get us started. So this Core First printable communication book. This is where I can download that book. And then when I go to lesson plans, again, I go back to TD Snap Core First resources, Core First books and lessons. So again, I'm going to go through 3 different sets of 12 words. So that's 36 words. So if you, and then that's, so it's a lot of lesson plans. So it's a really nice opportunity to really target core vocabulary and make our communicators really successful. So please reach out if you have any additional questions. I know I am running short on time, and I know that Franklin, you have a couple things that you want to reach out about too. So I just want to thank everyone so much for letting Ashlyn and I join in today. If you have any additional questions, please don't be shy and reach out.
Hey, Karen, real quick.
Yeah.
We've had a couple people ask about compatibility of TD Snap with Windows, where you would download it, and if it is something you can use with eye gaze.
Yeah. So you can use it in the window. If you go to the Windows store, you can download TD Snap there. And actually, if I show you, if I go back here to the Learning Hub, and I'm going to go to AAC software. Let's see if I can. So if I go through if I do this TD Snap, I can do this kind of like a getting started of how all the tools of communicate. Oh, that's not what I'm looking for. Sorry. But you get it through the Windows Store. Does that answer the question, Ashlyn?
Yes, and TD
Okay.
Snap is eye gaze accessible.
Yes. Yep. You just have to have the accessories. So whether that's an iSeries, a Pilot, which the Pilot you would access through Apple. Is the TD Snap available downloaded in Philippines? Yes. I can show you here quick to, I think it was Christina, when I go through this setup, I want to create a new user. Got a lot here. Let's just do test. And if I'm going to go to TD Snap Core first, touch, or this is where I might select eye gaze if I was using an eye gaze device. Here's where I can find, oh, I don't have all of mine on here. I think my software does not have, I didn't have my, hang on. You can select your language, and I apologize, I must not have my right. Oh, I don't have my account loaded on here for some reason. But there's a variety of languages that you can use and you can that are available. So if it's just simply how can I access, if I can access it in the Philippines, yes, you can. And if you are interested in a free version of TD Snap Core first, if you create that My TD account, it will get to our tech support people, and they will go ahead and just okay you. If you have an ASHA number, it just automatically goes through, but not. But if you're working with a communicator and you are in a school or a hospital setting, you can also have that free access. Let me go ahead and I'm going to put my email address here in our chat window. Sorry, I'm kind of going fast and furious in these questions because I want to make sure to answer. But if you have any additional questions, please feel free to send us an email, and we can, if we can't answer them, then we can get them to the person that can answer them for you. There's lots of questions as far as the various page sets that you can support, the languages that can be supported, and we can definitely get you where you need. So yeah, just thanks you for everyone for joining today. Franklin, if there's anything that you wanted to add, please feel free.
Well, thank you very much. I'd just like to, first of all, start off by thanking the both of you, Ashley and Karen, for your wonderful presentation this evening, and we certainly, from Isaac's end, we certainly value our relationship with Tobii Dynavox, and I hope everyone else out there who was in attendance this evening enjoyed your presentation. So thank you to Tobii Dynavox, and thank you to Karen and Ashlyn, much appreciated. Just as we wrap up here, I just want to for sure let everyone know that Isaac is working very hard, as we have been for the last few years during these very difficult pandemic years, in bringing interesting content available to you, and we are planning on doing the same for 2022, and we are working very hard behind the scenes to make sure that we are able to put on our fabulous conference Cancun in beautiful Cancun, Mexico in 2023. So we are looking forward to putting the pandemic behind us, not just here in Canada or the US, but everywhere in the world, to enable everyone to come and join us in Cancun. So again, thank you very much, and have a a great evening, morning, afternoon, everyone. Take care.